Hi everyone, my name is Jenny. So today I'm going to be presenting the problem of evil. Does God exist? So here's the content. First, I'm going to be discussing what is the problem of evil, and then follow up introducing the two different versions, which is logical and evidentiary version of this problem. And then I'm going to be discussing about the difference of theodicy and defense as a solution to solve the problem of evil. And for theodicy, I'll give two examples, which is the Augustinian and Iranian theodicy, and also presenting the criticisms on both of these theodicy. Then for the defense, I will be presenting the free will defense, and of course the criticism on the free will defense. And last but not least, for my thesis, I'll be presenting the reasons why I think the free will defense is slightly more successful and could be a slightly more plausible solution to solve this problem. So, what exactly is the problem of evil? Well, the logical version of this argues that the existence of evil contradicts the existence of God, and the evidentiary version argues that the existence of evil makes God existence unlikely or improbable, which is an inductive argument that doesn't claim to explain its solution. And in the further slide, I'm going to give a further explanation to this. So, what is the difference between the theodicy and defense? For theodicy, it gives a detailed explanation of why God permits evil and assumes that God is not just logically possible, but plausible as well. And here I'm going to be moving on introducing the Augustinian and Iranian theodicy. Augustinian theodicy suggests that God is right to allow the existence of evil and suffering as they are both necessary and essential to human life. Well, since God is perfect and He's the one who created the world, according to Augustinian theodicy, God created our world in the most harmonious way. However, God never created evil. Evil was just deprivation of the lack of good. This theodicy refers to the story of Adam and Eve. God have given them free will, which they can make choices. And as all we knew about the story, eventually Adam and Eve made the wrong choice and lead to the disharmony, where the moral evil occurs. And natural evil also happens because it is the punishment for us on turning our backs on God. Overall, it was the human free will that leads to the creation of evil, not God. Additionally, since God is both just and loving, God did actually shows His justice by not intervening to prevent evil, which refers that all evil is either sin or the punishment for sin. But by accepting Jesus, you will be rewarded with heaven parasite. Well, it seems like there's a lot of questions could be raised to Augustinian theodicy. First, could a perfect world gone wrong? This is a logical contradiction because either world isn't perfect or God enabled it to go wrong. Second, how could perfect beings choose to do wrong? Well, this is also a logical contradiction because if goodness is hardwired in our nature, why would we choose evil? Third, is there really a perfect harmony on Earth? Well, according to modern science, it has shown that there's never been a state of perfect harmony on Earth. Fourth, human is similarly present in the loins of Adam and Eve. False. It seems like it's biological inaccurate to say that. And questions could be raised, is God really justified in allowing punishment of one human being for the sin of other human being? And then moving on to Iranian theodicy. Iranian theodicy claims that God created the world imperfectly, so that the imperfect and immature being could develop through a soul-making process into a child of God. So why humans are not made perfect at first stage? Iranians believe although God has the ability to do so. However, the morality that has been through hard work and the use of free will is more valuable than something that has been ready-made. Also, unlike Augustine, Irenaeus does not believe the world was made perfect. That's because, in order for humans to pursue the moral development and exercise free will, they need to live in a world where pain and suffering occurs, where we know that the consequences exist. Well, it seems like this also has a lot of criticism on here. First, does the end justify the mean? What does this mean? While we are often told that the two wrongs does not make a right, it is not acceptable to do something good by doing something bad. But the Iranian theology claims that God deliberately creates an imperfect world with suffering so human may morally develop. Second, does all suffering result in moral growth? It seems that the Iranians has an optimistic view of the suffering. It is true that someone becomes better after some period of suffering, but also this could also lead to the opposite side, to moral degradation. For example, could a criminal really claim their descent to crime could be blamed to a childhood trauma? Third, is suffering the only way to create moral growth? However, we can't deny the fact that there are other ways and events that can lead an improvement in someone's character. Other tasks that can also help develop moral virtues, such as, for example, participating in team sports or study for tests. These are examples that could be help to develop valuable moral virtues. Last but not least, is universal salvation fair? Well, Iranians believe the process of soul making continues in afterlife, and eventually all people will make it to heaven. If this is true, why should I be moral right now if I already knew that I will end up in the heaven? So do my action really have consequences? Well, on the other hand, for defense demonstrates that it is logically possible that God exists and that the existence of evil does not contradict with this. Here I'm going to be introducing the free will defense. So the free will defense shows that it is logically possible for an omnipotent God to create a world that contains moral evil. The free will defense incorporates the notion of free will underlined in Augustinian and Iranian theology. As opposed to theology, Plantinga puts forth a defense offering new proposition saying that it is logically possible for a powerful God to create a world that contains moral evil. Because humans have genuine free will to choose how to respond to God. However, the consequence of this is that the world is contained with both good and evil. Furthermore, in order for free will to be genuine, God cannot intervene with it. Well, few of the criticism was raised to this problem, because how could God allow so much suffering? But the supporters argues that how can you question the amount of the suffering? Can you calculate it? Also, John Hicks also argues that if we say evil are too much, what do we mean by too much? Is there a line with it? Well, here I'm going to be presenting my thesis why I think the free will defense is slightly more successful than this theology because of the criticism that was raised by John Mackey. Where he mentioned that when God created the world, he had only two choices. The first, with the maximum pleasure, minimum pain, but no free will, which human will be similar to robots. Or where human free will exists, and it matters the most, but it will result with some pain and suffering. But if God is truly omnipotent, why he didn't create a third choice, where the world would be genuine freedom and a minimization of pain? God can make human genuinely free, but always choose good. However, this is logically impossible because even though God is the most powerful being, still can make beings always do good. Because that also means that the beings are not truly free. It's not God can't do it, but it just can't be done. It's just like asking God to create a rock that's too heavy for him to lift. Eventually, this creates the logical paradox. Omnipotence gives God control over what is possible, but not the power to do the impossible. But the reason why I said that the free will defense is only slightly successful because Plantinga still haven't shown any reasons why God is still worth worship, since he mentioned that God created humans so that human could respond in love, faithfulness, and obedience to him. He only shows reasons for things being how they are, but not reasons why things are how they are. So this is my presentation for the day, and thank you for listening.